watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burke Godwin. And I really think it's very important for everyone, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners, need to have their head in the social media game. It's been around for many, many years. And marketing, now digital marketing is at least 50% of the marketing budget these days. And we have a very special guest, Gabriella Layne-Avery. She is the creative director and content strategist of Strut Communications. I love the name, Strut Communications. Come on, girl. Welcome to America Trends, Gabriella.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching your interviews with one of my clients, Brittany, for so long. So it's great to actually be able to talk to you today.
Oh, well, we love Brittany around here. So we love you too then, just by proxy by that. And so strutcommunications.com is your website. At Strut, is it for success or to success is your handle?
To success. It's Strut to success. Yeah.
Love it. That is one of the best I've heard on this show, gotta say. And your website, that's amazing. Love the colors. So I feel like I have so much to talk to you about because I really feel like, my background is actually in social media as well and social media marketing. And, it's not going away. It is. Although sometimes I'm so frustrated with Facebook these days. I think every person in digital marketing is so frustrated with Facebook. We want to kick it to the curb, but we can't. It's a necessary evil, I believe, right? In our marketing strategies, in our plans. Yeah. Now, you talk about something called sustainable social media, which is a really great term, and I would love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So for me, sustainable social media is a phrase that I came up with specifically for small business owners and solopreneurs, because I just noticed that these business owners would see what really big companies with entire social media teams were doing and wanted to try to emulate that and keep up with that by posting multiple times a day on multiple different platforms. And so for me, the idea of sustainable social media is really understanding what you have the resources to do, what you have the capacity to do, and what feels in line with you creatively as an individual, because oftentimes as a small business owner, you are the face of your brand. So figuring out what is within your capacity, what is in your realm, and sticking to that to create a sustainable social media strategy that you can actually keep up with for months and years to come. So that's really my philosophy.
Yeah, I love that. And it's sustainable, because sometimes businesses, like you said, they cannot keep up with the quantity that bigger brands are posting. Yeah. And there's just really not a reason to do that right now, especially with pay to play happening. You've got to kind of boost posts in order to make it happen anyway. Yeah. Also, the algorithms are changing all the time.
Constantly. I'm sorry, Mary, but for some reason, I can't hear you anymore.
I can't hear myself either. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. So I have not said the term algorithm, I think, or before 2010, I had never used that word. I don't think ever. And now I use it 10 times a day at least. Yeah. But, with the algorithm and all the different platforms, it's really, you have to be strategic about your content, right? And I love what you were saying is, how can it make sense for the business owner based on your budget? And then you mentioned something I think is important for us to talk about, which is the face of the brand, because there are certain people that own businesses that it makes sense for them to be the face of the brand. They love speaking in front of, to the camera or having their picture taken. Other times they don't, though. So what do you talk to your clients about, if they're maybe not comfortable being the one on camera or being the face? Because I think it is important to be able to relate to somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so important. It is just so proven across the board that if there is a face to a brand that someone recognizes and knows and sees often, the know, like, build factor really exponentially grows. And so if I have a client who is not comfortable with video, I do try to find some middle ground with them as to how they show up. So maybe instead of sending them TikToks where they got to do crazy transitions and things, I may have them just do like a live, like a tutorial, something simple. Or if you have a product-based business, I'll have you do videos that are focusing specifically on your product and how to use it and how you create it. I even had a client who was an expert on a digital software. And so we did a lot of videos of screen shares where she was just, you could hear her voice, but you don't actually see her, and she's showing you how to use the product. So there's always a way to figure out how to incorporate video because it's a non-negotiable.
Right. Video is the thing these days.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's essential.
But like you're saying, and there's so many great apps out there that I think did you have a post about this too, about different apps that can help that you can utilize? I think I watched your video about that, which was great. It was a video about video apps. But there's so many ways to make them fun and engaging, and it's pretty simple, user-friendly apps. And putting filters on them, or like you said, even doing screen shares and filming something else and it's your voiceover is genius.
Yes, I love, those are some of my favorite videos, and they perform really well because people love to learn on social media and they're all visual. So like I said, there's endless ways to do video content. It's just about finding your sweet spot and where you can provide the most value for people who are watching your content.
And gosh, a couple things there. Okay, first I want to, since we touched on it, is talk about some of those apps that you mentioned. Some of those really good, user-friendly, quick and easy video apps. What are some of them that you like?
Yeah, so my favorite video app for sure is InShot. It's an editing app that you can use to quickly edit your videos on your phone as soon as you just create them. There's also Filto, which is a great app for adding what I like to call vibes to your videos. So if you want to just maybe make it moody, make it black and white, give it like a film feel, it's really cool. And then another app that I love is called Record It. And that's really great for if you have tutorial videos where you want to
use that one. Yep.
Yeah, I love that one. And there's also another app called Big View, VU, and it's pretty much like a teleprompter app. So if you're someone who is nervous on video and you don't know what to say, you can write yourself a script and you record it in there, and it'll just like show you what you're supposed to say. And that really helps a lot with people who get nervous on camera and forget what they're saying.
Oh, that's genius. That's Big View. Is that what it's called?
Yes, Big VU, VU,
okay.
VU, yeah.
And would you, would you have people kind of strategize what their plan is? I mean, I think what's exciting is sometimes people get the apps and they start going and they start posting as they go, rather than kind of looking at all the different filters and getting, like you said, the vibe of the feed. I'm a kind of old school in the way I believe the feed should have kind of a vibe to it, and I like to have an aesthetic to the feed. Some people say that's old school, so I could be dead in the water with that train of thinking.
I will live and die on an aesthetic. Okay. I think it's important. It's part of your brand. It's how people see and experience you. So I think that aesthetic is here to stay, personally.
Okay, good. I think so too, because I will tell you, when I'm talking to people on this show, the first thing I do when I know I'm going to interview someone, I'll either go to LinkedIn or I'll go to their Instagram or both. Yeah. And, I do look at it as a whole. When it comes into our feeds, we only see one at a time. So in that case, it is just a one-off. But if you do go to a brand's feed, if you go to a client's feed or you go to a business's feed and you want to see what they're feeling, what they look like or what they're all about, you're going to see it right there, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of, getting clients, or let me ask you if you have trouble with this, but getting clients to take that pause and kind of get their aesthetic and their strategy together instead of just kind of going willy-nilly.
Yeah, so it is a bit of a challenge, but I do try to explain it to clients. Like, we don't want to just go into things just trying and seeing what works. We really want to do the research to see what has your community been receptive to, what do we need to do more of, what's kind of happening in your industry and your ecosystem that's really moving the needle that we need to tap into, and putting that all together to create a strategy that works for your brands. Or else we're just kind of trying stuff and hoping for the best. And without a strategy, we also can't indicate and keep track of what's working, so we can continue to make it more effective. So when I explain it to clients that way, they're like, okay, I'm on board. And a lot of the time they hire me to do that part. So they're like, okay, if you're doing it and I don't have to do it, it works out.
I do think it's really important to have an agency, or at least one person, even if you have to hire them out freelance, to be that person to not only come up with the content and schedule it and do all the nitty gritty details of writing the copy, figuring out the hashtags, all of that stuff, but then it is actually looking at the stats after it goes out. what time of day, you know, how many comments did it get? Did it get feedback? Oh, and also being the person to kind of write back, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's just so many steps, and I appreciate you for laying that all out, because there's so many aspects of what makes social really successful for brands, from the beginning to the end, from developing the strategy to putting it all together, making it a creative presentation, and then analyzing all of that to kind of continue to propel the strategy forward. So it's a lot of work as a small business owner to think about your actual business, and then also managing an entire pretty much media entity is what I like to think of it as. Like social media is like your magazine for your business.
Absolutely.
It is a lot. Yeah.
Well, we've got to take a quick break in a minute here. So will you stick around for one more segment? Because I have other nitty gritty questions to get into, and trying to get more tips for entrepreneurs, because it can be very overwhelming. Even listening to this segment, that people are probably saying, oh my God, I have so much to do. That's where you come in, right? So will you stick around for us?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. And everyone at home, you can find us on social media at America Trends TV on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find Gabriella at Strut to Success on Instagram. And stick around, we've got more America Trends right after this. Watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt Godwin. I'm chatting about a subject near and dear to my heart, which is social media marketing, with Gabriella Layne-Avery of Strut Communications. Is that what it is? Strut Communications, yes. I just love this name. And I'm loving you and everything that you have to say. You have really great, insightful tips to business owners. And like we were saying before the break, there are a lot of layers and elements to social media. It can feel overwhelming for a solopreneur who's like, oh my gosh, I'm a one-man show. So I wanted to talk about, we were talking about the face of a brand and how it's important to, like you actually mentioned something that's important. I think you said the know, like, trust factor, right? Because that's what social media can help brands develop with their customers online and to get them to be recurring customers. And what do you think about utilizing influencers?
Yeah, so I think that influencer marketing is an incredible way to build brand awareness. It's also a great way to expedite the process of building an audience, because these influencers have already cultivated their own communities who trust them, who aspire to their lifestyles. So I think that influencers are amazing. I think that influencers are ideal for product-based businesses. But when you are a service provider, you absolutely have to be the influencer for your brands. Like, it kind of doesn't work as well for a service provider. It can in certain circumstances, but I personally believe that as a service provider, you are the influencer. You have to kind of channel that influencer energy to really get the results that you want.
So if you're like a coach or something, or can you give me some examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a coach, if you are a social media expert like myself who does social media for other people, even if you create custom items for people, I think just knowing who your audience is and creating that factor, because when you're a service provider, people are going to work with you. They have to talk with you, connect with you on a regular basis. So when they see you on social media, they feel like, okay, like, I feel like this is someone that I can work with, get along with, versus someone else who's doing the exact same thing as you. They can feel like, oh, she's from Brooklyn, just like I am. So because of that, I'm going to work with her. So it's really a great way to really establish that know, like, trust factor, like we said.
Okay, look, talk about aesthetic. Can we just talk about this, your feed, for a second? Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Hire you. And also the other one, like you mentioned, Brittany, she's one of our favorites. And I swear, I follow her and I go to her feed all the time. And I just am wowed by how organized she is, and how, you know, it's important to also have a mixture of content, right? Not just all salesy messages, but tips for other people, things that are just fun, some memes, some of the things that are going around right now, the trends, right?
Yeah, I love that you said that, because that's something that we definitely do in her content strategy. So for me, I created like 4 different content pillars for Brittany, which are essentially like themes of what we're going to talk about based on her brand mission. And I circulate them. I try to do like one for each day of the week, or I'll like go between 1 or 2 each week. And that's really how we kind of make sure that content is diverse and it's kind of touching all of the points that we want people to experience. So I'm so glad.
Okay, I'm picking it up. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I totally get it. It's really, really great. I can see it on your feed. I can see it on her feed. And it's, it just takes a little bit of thought. And again, it is a little overwhelming for a solopreneur. So it is helpful to hire someone like you and to outsource that help, or even have somebody to bounce ideas off of, right? And to have somebody help you organize the content and the content pillars. I think, like you had that term, I think that's important. And then I want to go back to also, we talked about before the break, the steps, somebody that kind of looks at the stats afterwards and helps reporting. And also though, the researching ahead of time when you're building that strategy, like looking at what other brands are doing that are in your niche or your industry, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I think that a lot of the time when people hear that, they think it's like, oh, I'm going to be taking inspiration, stealing ideas. But really what it is just market research. It's looking at what's happening in your industry. It's looking at what has been effective for other people in your field. What are the conversations that are trending and that are happening, so that you can look at that and make sure that you are aligning with what people care about. They are essentially doing the work for you to understand what's moving the needle, so that you can apply that in your own special way with your own special sauce with your audience. So it's really an indicator for you. And I highly recommend, before creating a strategy, looking to find your competitors, finding people that you would like to collaborate with. Just do a deep dive into their strategies, look in their comments to see what people are asking them, how people are responding, and use that to help you to build a strategy that's unique to your brand.
I love that. And I think, it is important to kind of look, like you said, what people are doing. It also helps, we talk a lot about being authentic online, and that's kind of a buzzword, and it's a little bit, oh God, But it's true. And that's how I feel like brands can figure out how to be authentic, is to say, what's the reaction when I see that color scheme or that post? And maybe someone says, like, I know for me, I'm not the person that's going to be pointing to things, that trend.
Yeah.
So I would say right away, I'm not going to do that on my feed. Or I have clients that say, I know Sully with the band, he's like, I'm not going to be that guy that does X, Y, Z. But then say, what will you do? So it also helps you say what you don't like, and also what's not jiving with you, to help you find what that authentic voice is, right?
It's so important, because if you feel awkward, your audience is going to feel awkward. Like, if you're not enjoying your content, I always say content is an energy exchange. And so if you're not vibing with your content, people aren't going to vibe with it either. So I have some clients like Brittany who are just like real and TikTok queens.
She's all in. She is all in, and it's so her. Yeah.
Yeah, she can kill it. And then I've had other clients who are like, this is awful, I hate it. And I'm like, okay, so maybe you just do informative reels where you just talk and you just share what you know. So it really is important to know what your energy is, so that you can be authentic and show people who you are without feeling cringe, because nobody wants that.
Right. Nobody wants the cringe, because I can tell when people are doing those reels and they're not into it, and their whole heart's not into it, and they're not committed, right? We had earlier on the week, we had Chris True, who's an improv comedy coach, and he talked about being committed to the moment, and being present. And if you're feeling cringeworthy, then your audience is going to too.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
One thing I was going to say, one tip for myself, and maybe you do this too, is that when I'm searching on Instagram, or just kind of on my own time, I will favorite or like, and save posts to folders for inspiration for work, or I send them to Bianca, our producer here, like, let's talk about this later, but so I can get an idea of what inspires me. And I feel like brands could do that too, right?
Absolutely. I highly recommend doing that. It's to me, it's intentional scrolling, looking through.
Intentional scrolling. I love that. I'm going to tell my kids that's what I'm doing.
Yes. I like to allocate maybe like the first 30 minutes of my day to just kind of looking to see things. I have all of my inspiration for like graphics, for topics, and then even sound bites. I find it a lot easier to batch record reels or TikToks if I already have saved a bunch of sound bites that I love. And then I can just look back, versus like having to sit and be like, okay, what am I going to record? It's like, I already know, I saw that sound bite a week ago.
I love that tip. That's a great tip. Well, you are a gem, and I'm so happy. I hope you'll come back and be on a regular on our show, because I think you have really great tips for business owners and entrepreneurs out there. And they can find you, Gabriella Layne-Avery, at strutcommunications.com, or at Strut to Success on Instagram, because everyone needs a little help with their social media. That's what I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate you so much. And everyone at home, stick around. We've got more America Trends right after this quick break. Roosevelt Williams III of Young Black and in Business is going to come in and chat with us. He's got so many great things he's doing to help our community. So stick around. We've got more America Trends right after this. You can find us on social media at America Trends TV.